Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 1998 Represent. On this episode, we're taking a look at Spice World, so the Spice Girls movie. It kind of tied into their Spice World album, which had come out toward the end of 1997. The movie here was released, at least in the United States. Got my notes here for it. Was released January 23rd, 1998. I think it may have had a 1997 release over in the UK, but the American release for this movie, or North American at least, was in January of 1998. I never saw this movie until I want to say the beginning of last year. It's very hard to find now, apparently, so it's not really streaming anywhere. And I saw like DVDs of it going for like $40 or $50. So I think there was like one, or they haven't re-released this in a long time, and it hasn't been available to stream or anything for a very long time either. If this thing works, I'll leave in the description, a link in the description. The way I was able to watch it was through Vudu. Vudu has a thing where you can redeem a movie on Vudu if you have like the barcode of the DVD. So I was able to do that because I believe this movie, there is a barcode for it. You have to basically scan the barcode into Vudu, and then it lets you purchase the movie digitally, and that's what I ended up having to do. It was kind of a convoluted process because basically Vudu has a thing where, like, if you're physically not in the location that your credit card billing information is in, it won't let you redeem it until you're actually in that location. And I live in a city that has multiple zip codes for the same city, so basically I had to take my cell phone with me. I had to take another cell phone with me that had a picture of the barcode on it, and then I had to walk to basically where my post office is, and walk into that, basically be in that correct zip code. Brought up the barcode on one phone, on my older phone, snapped a picture with it with my current phone, and was able to redeem it. But just kind of a long, convoluted process. But right now, that seems like the only way to actually watch this movie, unless you want to just shell out a lot of money for like a DVD copy of it, or if you could find it. I don't think they've re-released it for a while, but that is a process that you can do that with. I'll leave a link in the description to how you can do that yourself if this is something that you wanted to actually watch. Apparently Disney wanted to first make this movie, or at least had some ideas for it. And let me see here. There was a basically it was. They said it was too Disneyfied, so basically they turned down Disney's offer, as the script was about a young single mother of one of the girls fighting hardship to form the band, and that they felt that that was kind of cheesy, was kind of Disneyfied. And I think there's a couple characters in the movie that are basically film producers, and that's kind of one of their pitches, is like, I think, like a tongue-in-cheek way of referring to kind of the way Disney was approaching the movie. But this movie's a lot of fun. It's doesn't really have much of a plot. It basically is just a bunch of kind of vignettes that are kind of thrown together with a very loose plot connecting them. Basically, they have 5 days to prepare for a concert at the Royal Albert Hall in England. And basically, the movie takes place over those 5 days, and they have just various vignettes throughout the movie of them just doing fun stuff. So let me see here. We did that up, brought up the thing about Disneyfied. There's some great cameos in this film. So Meatloaf plays their tour bus driver. Elton John has a brief cameo. Elvis Costello plays like a barista or a bartender in one scene. So just a lot of really cool cameos from various other musicians and celebrities. It's pretty fun. One of my favorite things in this movie is Roger Moore plays, I think he's probably like an executive on their record label, and he just speaks in these cryptic tones. It's really funny. Like he'll be talking to I think it's Richard E. Grant. Yeah, Richard E. Grant plays their manager, and he basically calls into Roger Moore, reports into him. Roger Moore tells him what to do, but it's these really cryptic messages. Like one is like the badger is exposed at midnight. Beware of the prowling panda, or something weird like that, which is like, you have no idea what it means, but Richard E. Grant's character knows exactly what it means. There's one scene where he's like, should I stir something up? And you see Roger Moore is actually shaking a martini shaker because the whole James Bond reference. One of my favorite bits of this movie is he's like Richard E. Grant is proposing something to him. Forget exactly what it is, but Roger Moore's just reaction. I keep going back and watching because Roger Moore just like he's like no, like he just yells. It's funny. But so yeah, we've a lot of great cameos, the whole Roger Moore thing. There's actually no soundtrack for this movie. I think we're using the Spice World album itself to kind of be the soundtrack to the film. But it says an official soundtrack has not been released because basically they were just using stuff off of that album. But I think they should have released a soundtrack because there's a lot of some stuff that has never been released before, and then there's other various remixes and demos which I think have shown up in other albums. Like I think their newest release of Spice World maybe has some of those on it because they did a 25th anniversary re-release last year. But the soundtrack, I'm going to go through the soundtrack here. It has, and I think these are all Spice Girls songs except for one song, or it's and I think it's one, and they're covering this other person, so or this other act. But so it starts off with "Too Much," one of my favorite Spice Girls songs. That's kind of the opening sequence. You have "Do It," which I think is off of it's off of Spice World. There's a "Say You'll Be There," which is an unplugged concert version, a really good version of that song. I think "Say You'll Be There" probably is my favorite song from them. You have "Mama," you have "Denying," "Saturday Night Divas," you have "Stop." I think "Stop" shows up in a couple different locations in the movie. You have "Two Become One." It says "I'm the leader of the gang I am," which isn't. I don't know if that's ever been actually released. It's like in the part where they're in Italy doing like this performance of it. So that's one song I don't think they've ever actually put out, or not that I'm aware of anyway. Next up is "Never Give Up the Good Times." After that, there's the Spice Girls "Sound Off," which is when they're in like the somewhat military dance training academy. It's a really good sequence. We have "Millie Small," which "My Boy Lollipop." I think they're on a boat and they're singing that song. So that's a song that's not written by them originally. You have "Viva Forever." You have a demo version of "Wannabe." You have "Who Do You Think You Are," which is a Morales Club mix edit. And then you have "Spice Up Your Life," which is kind of like the last song in the film at the Albert Hall. And then you have "The Lady is a Vamp," which is the closing credits to the movie. So really good soundtrack. Kind of wish they put out an actual official soundtrack instead of just using Spice World, because there's a lot of good songs off the first album that are like there's like demos of "Say You'll Be There" and "Wannabe," which aren't on Spice World, and they should have done a soundtrack, I think. So you have some great vignettes here. Some of my favorites are they have one where we're doing like a complete role reversal where the Spice Girls are dressing up as other members of the band. So you have Sporty dressing up as Posh in one scene. You have Scary dressing up as, I think, Ginger and Sulla. So it's just a lot of really good. It's just funny seeing them basically play the other Spice Girls personalities in that scene. One of my other favorites is the military kind of dance school that they're in. So they're basically like, all right, like they get sent to go to this dance school to prepare for their show, and it's very much like a military kind of march. You have like a guy like leading them. Best bit of the thing is they're all wearing military style uniforms, with the exception of Posh. Posh is wearing like the same dress you see in this image to the right here, but it's more camouflage. She's wearing high heels, and she's basically refusing to do any of the what are they called? Like the kind of like obstacle courses. Like they run up a thing, they swing on a rope, land in some water. They go through those big like round things that you crawl through. Posh just walks right by it. It totally is on kind of par for like her personality within the band to like basically just like have that be kind of above her essentially. It's a really good bit of the film. Let me see what other vignettes I wrote down here. Let's see. Oh, there's a whole bit where they're coming back. I think this is when they're coming back from Rome. They're in the bus and they need to use the restroom. They had to go outside because the plumbing is broken or something, and they get visited by aliens who want to get photos and autographs of them. It's just super weird, but it totally works in the vein of like how this movie is presented, because it's kind of like done in the style of like some of the Beatles films, like Hard Day's Night, maybe Help, where there's just vignettes that are interspersed throughout the film that just make it a lot of fun. The Spice Bus is really cool. I think that thing is actually like an Airbnb now. I think I remember reading somewhere about that. The bus is definitely like it's almost like a TARDIS, where it's definitely bigger on the inside, but each of them has their own little quadrant that they have like their stuff in. They did a Lego set, I want to say a year or so ago, and it was, I don't know what it's called, but they were just basically, they're not minifigs, but they are Lego versions of the Spice Girls, and they're, I think it's like they're block something or other. They're kind of cool, but the thing they should have done a Lego set of would be the Spice Bus and have it open up to show the like inside of the bus. That would be really cool. I already went through the song list. I have another thing I wrote here. These are some great lines of dialogue from the movie. There's a scene where Posh can't decide what to wear, and Sporty is like, "Well, you could wear the little Gucci dress, or I know, how about the little Gucci dress?" Just like a really funny line. And then I think she ends up going with the little Gucci dress anyway. Um, there's a scene where Richard D. Grant is like, "Oh, I stir this thing up, like stir up the news cycles and what have you." And that's when Roger Moore is shaking the martini shaker, saying, "Oh, there's no need for stirring," which is, of course, a reference to James Bond and shaken, not stirred. There's a whole scene where another subplot that goes on is Alan Cumming, from like the X Men films, he was in Goldeneye, is following them around filming a Spice Girls documentary, and he's asking them about dating. He's like, "Oh, Jerry, you like boys, don't you?" And all this other stuff. And Scary says something about like, "I just like you should just be able to wheel them in, and then that's it, and they're there." And then Baby says something about ordering them like a pizza. And then Posh has a line. She says like, she's like, "Yes, I'll have a deep pan, 6 foot, green eyes, pair of loafers, and no socks." Like a pizza order for a guy. And then she does this cool like little wink to the camera there. There's a whole thing with the Spice Force 5, which is one of the pitches that George Wendt from Cheers is doing with this one guy, and it kind of feels like the Fox Force 5, but they're like all like spies. Like there's like the Master of Disguise, there is like the Demolition Expert, and so on. That was like a really cool little cool bit. And after they're in the boat, I think Sporty and Posh fall out of the boat with these kids that they're on the boat with, and Posh is upset, and Sporty's like, "What's going on? Like, what's the matter?" She's like, "This dress is dry clean only, Melanie." Like that's a fun little bit there. Let's see. There's a great subplot where this one newspaper is hiring this photographer to basically essentially try to cancel the Spice Girls because he's tired of reporting on the Spice Girls. He basically kind of like got them popular apparently in the storyline, and now he's sick of seeing them in the paper. So his whole thing is he wants to basically ruin the Spice Girls, like have them like get canceled basically. They hire this photographer to kind of sneak around, take pictures of them, and he hides in like there's like a fruit tray, and he's like hiding under a fruit tray where he's got like the fruit tray on his head. He like lifts up, takes a picture, ducks back down. Just fun little bits like that. George Wendt was in it, and obviously from Cheers, and his whole thing is he is pitching a Spice Girls movie to Richard E. Grant's character, and they do that as well. And it's just a lot of fun. And I already talked about the documentary subplot with Alan Cumming as well. And then you have a good bit in the credits to where um, they basically break the fourth wall. They're like, "Hey, look, why are people still staying after the credits? What's going on here?" Kind of like harkening back to like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and they kind of like break the fourth wall and talk to the people that are like watching the credits. And then that's basically just kind of like what I felt in the movie. It's a lot of fun. The plot is basically they are just getting ready for a concert. There's a subplot where their friend is pregnant and they're spending time with her. So there's basically small bits of plot kind of interwoven into the kind of larger vignettes of the film. It's it's a ton of fun. If you could, like I said, I'll leave a link in the description to check out that method to where you can potentially get it on Vudu. I think you just pay to do it though. I think it's like $5 or something. I remember paying 5 to get a digital version of it through Vudu. So it was a Reddit post. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can check that out. Hopefully at some point it goes back on streaming, or they re-release the DVD or Blu-ray, because right now you can't really stream it on any streaming service aside from Vudu, and you have to basically buy the movie to do that. And then finding like a DVD copy is like DVD copies. I saw one going on Amazon for like $40. It's kind of weird, but like I said, check it out on Vudu if you want. the movie's a blast. If you're a Spice Girls fan, it's definitely good. It's a fun film. It kind of harkens back, like I said earlier, to some of the earlier like Beatles movies and movies like that. So I think that's gonna do it for this video. But yeah, definitely check out Spice World if you can. And I think that's gonna do it for this video. So remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care. See ya.